We have the most eminent personalities right here on the dais. It is time for me to announce the book launch. The book launch of The Lion, the Admiral, and a Cat called B. Uma Vijayalakshmi. Learnings from Life and Management. We have the author here with us, B. Raghunathan sir. Thank you so much. And the launch of the book will be carried out by Mr. Ramachandra Guha, who is a well-renowned historian and environmentalist. Can we please have a huge round of applause for him, everyone?
Oh, where is TV? I've completed. Oh, Professor Rao, please come. Please, 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 please. Yes, I completely forgot that. Come. Professor T.V. Rao, he is HR God, not Guru. Those who are in the field of HR would know him. Please come in. He is the president of, life president of HR Network. And let me read out the endorsement he has given me. I asked him for an endorsement for very selfish reasons. I thought if he happened to give me a decent endorsement, half the HR population in the country would buy the book, I thought. So that's the reason I came to you. He says, this is a great book about life and various life situations the author faced as a student, teacher, officer, CEO, customer, and most of all as a citizen. The settings vary from the Indian Navy to coal mines to IIMs, banks, colleges, and public places to the corporate sector. These are situations any one of us may face, but few of us observe so well and respond to them the way one should, to get the best out of them and also contribute to the future of the society. Thank you, TV. Those are very, very generous words and means a lot to me. Of course, he's been a very dear friend, albeit a little senior friend to me, because we were cubs when we joined IMA and he was already at his prime at that time. But he's been a very, very kind friend ever since, and we know his family very well. So not a big surprise that he's given me good endorsement, but he's also a very honest man, I might add. All right. So, this book has 11 chapters. What it does is, I say that so that the questions can be facilitated. The first is about my excursion in the Indian Navy. And I quit, and why I quit. Does that make me a quitter? Is it all right to be a quitter? When can you be a quitter and not feel like a quitter? All that comes in that chapter. My next one is the price of a piss. That's what it's called. And I calculated the price of a piss at 10,000 rupees once at Coal India Limited when watching a drag line. A drag line is a huge shovel with 150 meters boom. It takes the overburden and moves it like that and drops it, which the shovels remove. And this machinery would have cost in those days about 80 crore, which is almost 2,000 crore today, if you put a 7-8% kind of a CAGR. So, and as I was watching, the boom stopped working. And I waited 45 minutes to see why the boom wasn't working. And finally, when I went down into the pit and asked, I was told that the guy had gone for a piss. It had been 45 minutes. Then I took a small piece of paper and did some quick computation. On depreciation and interest cost alone, an 80 crore equipment would cost about 10,000 rupee an hour. So I said, this is the price of the piss. At a time when the operator's wages with overtime was 4,000 rupees, the Indian pilots used to earn 3,000 rupees. The dozer operator would earn more than a pilot, 4,000 rupee. And one hour piss break is 10,000 rupees. So I asked the company, why does it not make sense to have an extra operator who can sit on the seat whenever this guy goes for a break? They said, oh, it will give a very wrong signal to the union. They will all want 2 operators on every vehicle, and a 2 crore dumper used to be taken home for lunch break by the drivers. So that was the kind of inefficiency our public sector had those days. And even now, I have actually done this observation and written a few articles. If you drive at random on the highways and see heavy earth moving equipment, shovels, dozers, cranes or whatever, 7 or 8 times out of 10 they are immobile. This doesn't happen in Europe or US. When you see a earth moving equipment, 7 out of 10 times they will be in action, they will be moving around, which shows the level of utilization that we have in India. All right, so that's one chapter. Then there's a chapter on IIM Cal, another chapter on IIM Ahmedabad, a chapter on my banking days here, a chapter on my hobbies of collecting logs, and last one about authorship. What does it mean to be an author? So that's what the book is all about. So if you have questions, I'll take them. Huh?
Let me say something.
Oh, please.
Raghu has not asked me to say anything, but I took the initiative. To me, thanks for giving me the privilege of reading the manuscript much before it came out in the current form. Even before I saw the book, which I got a copy only this evening, I took a picture from the Amazon and put it on LinkedIn and wrote 4 incidents. To me, this book is not merely about Raghunathan and his life. This book tells a lot of instances which can be used for classroom teaching, for teaching values, for teaching creativity, for learning creativity and things like that. This 10,000 rupee piece, Raghu, you may not know, now that you have mentioned it. I heard of it not as your story, because I'm sure in IIM it was circulated, because this happened much before you joined IIM Ahmedabad. It was getting circulated that as a joke of 10,000 rupee piece. It helped me almost about 15 years back when we were auditing one of the mineral development corporations to estimate the amount of money wasted unnecessarily in these tea breaks, piss and other kind of things. Very interesting. Not only that, it led to my calculating, when you pay to somebody 30,000 rupees a month, how much that person is costing? A secretary, 3 rupees a minute, a 15-minute tea break costs about 45 rupees, not the tea that you cost. Then I wrote a book on ergonomics. So one idea that you have can stimulate a lot of thought. After I read the chapter that you on how you and Professor Raghuram undertook 6,500 kilometers of journey because you were asked to teach in a course for the road transport CEOs. You wanted to experience, you were young at the institute, you wanted to experience and you actually undertook the journey, experienced every part of it, and what a torturous thing is to go by Indian roads of different states and things like that. I was quoting this without naming you, because by the time the book has not come out, to a group of young professors, how to take your job seriously. Because that is what made Raghu what he is, later to become a CEO and do wonderful things. Or a simple thing like when, I think this happened in Bangalore, he narrates, you are taking a walk and you find a senior citizen throwing garbage on the road when there is a dustbin available. And Raghu points out, why don't you use this? And the gentleman retorts back to him, why don't you mind your business? Now, I'll not tell you what Raghu had done, what it had led to some creative solutions and changed Kabban Park in some ways and things like that. So in many instances, so to me, this book is either Raghu happens to be an instrument, and thanks a lot for giving us, there are so many stories, I can call out at least 100 different stories and teach a lot of things on this. Thanks Raghu, I think this is a wonderful book. Don't miss reading it, don't miss giving it to children, also to read the stories, it is very interesting. Students, teachers, managers, I think in terms of ethics, values and so on. Thanks a lot, I don't want to take more time. Thank you.
The floor is open for questions. Do we have any questions from the audience side?
We had a competition.
What's a scat?
We had a competition, inter-hostel competition at IIM Calcutta. We had a hostel cat, a mascot of sorts. We said, let us have a competition to name it. The winning name was B. Uma Vijayalakshmi.
Do we have any more questions?
Thank you for an interesting talk. So where does your love for collecting logs come from? Where does your love for collecting logs come
Oh, okay. There's a chapter about the importance of hobbies to add a second dimension to your personality in life. Life becomes so much more fun when you have something else to fall back upon. You know, your stresses, your trials, tribulations you go through in life. And here is something charming which you can fall back on. But it's an act of faith. You don't do it for a recognition. You don't do it for a purpose. You don't do it for making money. You do it because you love it. And I think this is something which many people after retirement, they feel the depression because they have nothing else to do. Even reading is not a hobby with them. So this chapter of log collection is in that context.
Where did it come from? How did you
Okay. You see, when I was a kid, I used to collect matchboxes. I used to collect stamps. I used to collect anything and everything, So I think collecting, some people are acquisitive, some are not, and I was acquisitive. Collecting was a hobby. As I grew up, I used to love anything mechanical and anything old. If I were born to an Adani or Ambani, I would have collected cars or aeroplanes or some such thing, The Second World War aeroplanes, why not? But being who I was, this is all I could, I came across 3 or 4 different logs and they all looked different. And the beauty in life is if you open a window into anything, it's a universe that opens up actually. And that's what happened to me.
Raghunathan? Hi. By far the most riveting conversation I've heard today or since a long time, so thank you for that. And it's wonderful that you managed to rally legends in their space. I mean, Professor Guha and the Lion Man and Mr. TV sir, and that's amazing.
Thank you.
Just in a lighter vein, a question. You decide whether you'd answer it or your wife would. What was she thinking when she sent you on that?
That's what I said. Any of the spy writers can create a nice theme. How intelligently wife decides to murder the husband, couching it as a lion kill.
That's what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
So ma'am, would you like to answer?
Except his expertise saved me. Yeah, I think our time is up. In all fairness, we should. Yeah.
It's not a question, but just what I felt was, it was very amazing to see how you narrated the story. Probably we should have an audiobook read by you.
Sorry?
The way you narrated the story was very riveting and it was amazing.
Thank you.
And it was so hooked up, right? So I think we should do an audiobook.
Thank you. Good idea. Thank you. Thank you. That's a nice suggestion. I'll think about it.
We have time for 2 more questions. Do we have any?
Hey, Ravi.
Hello, Raghu.
Yeah.
Just, I don't want to repeat. It was very interesting to see your story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to share. Just one question. Out of these 15 chapters you have written, 11 chapters. 11 chapters. Which chapter you think that made an impact on your personality, your thinking, or it is more or less every chapter make it a? Is particular chapter you have very favorite one out of that?
That's a tough one actually. It's a very logical question, but a very tough one. But in terms of life and death, the one I narrated, because that was truly where what I did could decide my life or death. and to learn to hold your fear. Fear in any sense. I've done bungee jumping and I know the fear just before you are about to jump. So that control on fear is in many ways a key in life. So perhaps if I were put a gun on my head, I would say that chapter.
Professor Raghunathan, I asked this question with a lot of trepidation because I've been your student in college and I've never asked a professor a question earlier. But my question is, you know, the title of this book is about 10 or 11 words long, maybe one of the longest titles I've seen in recent days. And both of you are very prolific authors on the stage, both Ram Guha and yourself. Any pros and cons of a long title versus a short title for a book?
Good question, because I did some research before finalizing on the title, which the first part was suggested to me by my good wife, who has been suggesting titles for most of my books for a very long time, at least more than half of them. But I did research whether long titles are acceptable. And I accepted when I found the longest title or longer titled books. When I asked ChatGPT, it threw away some 23 titles which were longer than what I had. So I said, okay, so I'm not standing out. And once it was okay with Aurodeep, I was fine. What do you say, Aurodeep? Did you have any reactions on the length of the title? There.
Okay. So here is the question. This might look out of context, but Mr. Guha has spoken, 10 minutes about you. So since being this is a professional member, whether he is also part of the book, and why do you like him? Like he said a lot about why he likes you. Why do you like him? Because it's 4 decades of friendship.
If I didn't like him, I wouldn't ask him to come here. Why? I mean, he is what he is. I mean, he is a scholar par excellence. That's good enough for me, you know. Anyone who's a scholar of that caliber, as they say, defects of the great can be the consolation of the dunces. Defects of the great is the consolation of dunces. So why even look for something I don't like? I mean, he is such a scholar that I don't even need to worry about anything else. And that is good enough for me. And I've known him. He's been I read his articles. It takes guts to write those articles. You know, even I used to write very, very strongly worded articles. My wife has put us, she said, you're getting old. If they give you one, Ram Guha may have all kinds of, Kapil Sibal come and defend him. Nobody's going to defend Raghunathan for sure. Okay? So I have toned down. So I have great admiration for this man.
So, I just wanted to speak at the beginning, but I can't resist one teaser, because Raghu's talked about the advantage of listening to experts, and now having Ravichandran, the greatest expert on the Asiatic lion, with him saved his life, and listening to him. And he's a finance man. So should I put him on the spot? He said I am always controversial, so I have to be controversial. And please. Expertise, he's a finance man. Who should Narendra Modi have listened to before demonetization?
By the way, I asked this question on the television, and the same night at 11 o'clock, Mr. G.M. Rao, who was my chairman at the time, got a phone call from the PMO because I had asked at 7 o'clock, because they asked me, tomorrow the PM is addressing the nation. What question would you ask him? I said, name of the economist who advised him to take this measure. So 11 o'clock, the PMO calls my chairman. He is one of your senior executives. All your businesses are with the government. Please put a stop on him. So
okay, all right. So the next Prime Minister who wants to implement demonetization, who is the Indian expert he should ask?
Well, you see, I would definitely have thought of Raghuram Rajan, except he's not in India. He may not be in India, but that's the first natural name that comes to your mind. Because, you know, all this political gimmickry around some of these experts is manufactured. The man is above all that, actually. He doesn't need to care a goddamn. I mean, he's been there, done that. I mean, he doesn't need a job like RBI governor, basically. He was doing that with a sense of duty. Yes, he was a little vocal, which perhaps in the Indian bureaucratically minded positions is not well accepted. But if you take people from private sector or different sectors, you have to have the guts to accept what comes with it, which the government lacked. But otherwise, he's the first person, he's the first stop that I would go by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for introducing us to the characters in your book, and I'm so sure the readers would be so excited to delve deep into the book and explore more about it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. P. Shankar, the co-founder of Bangalore Business Literature Festival, onto the dais to present our guest with a memento. Please do join us right on this dais, sir. Huge round of applause for this engaging session.